Okay,
Well,
I'll call this meeting to order. Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with approval of the agenda.
As amended, if allowed, Mr. Chair, with the addition of items H and I.
Okay, anybody have anything else?
Yeah, on the committee and board reports, see the RSU 21 Finance Committee is meeting Friday morning at 7:30 at KES.
Okay, motion to approve as amended?
second.
A motion to approve, a second, all those in favor? Carries. The next item is a public forum. This is where the members of our great audience can make comment on any non-agenda items.
Chairman Dubois, I do believe the young lady in the crowd, I'm not sure what she's here for, but she would like to speak to us.
Oh, there we go. Please state your name for the record here.
I'm Laura Dolce, and I'm the new executive director at the Kennebunk-Fort Arundel Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to come tonight and introduce myself so that I could put a face to a name, and to thank the town of Arundel for all its support in the last few years, and to pledge the continued support of the chamber, and to also pass out my card, which has my cell number, and to honestly tell you that we would love feedback. We would love to find out how we can work more so with Arundel, and we've worked very nicely with Todd these last few years, and I've had the fortune or misfortune, depending on how you look at it, of working with Todd on the board these last few years. But we would like that to continue, and we'd like to continue to work more closely with Arundel at the chamber. So I'd like to keep those, if you could pass those around, and to tell you I'd be certainly happy to come back at any time if you ever have any questions, or any time that you want to talk about chamber business. I would love to hear that.
Welcome aboard, Laura. Your office will be really close to my new office.
I
here.
know. I'm hoping you're going to take me to lunch sometime.
I will certainly do that.
Well, Laura is here. Anybody from the board have any
you
comments, questions?
Jack wants to go to be the road commissioner.
Okay. Can you drive a truck?
I think it would be problem. My grandpa was a truck driver.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Drive safely. Be safe tomorrow.
You too.
Okay, the next item is approval of minutes of the January 12th, 2015 Selectmen's minutes. Selectmen's meeting.
I don't have anything. I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
By Norma. Second by Jason. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carries. Committee and board reports.
The planning board meets Thursday, the 12th of February, 7 p.m. in the ML Day School Library, right here. Maine Department of Transportation will have a preliminary meeting on the Bartlett Bridge replacement, which is on Route 1 over the Kennebunk River. That'll be held on February 2nd at 6 p.m. in the Kennebunk Town offices. Doesn't specify where in the Kennebunk Town office, but it'll be there. They'll take comments, questions. I'm sure it'll start in July and end in October. But I think right now they're just doing preliminary surveys and getting information, letting the information out there. But that bridge will be replaced. And then, as Donna said, the RSU 21 Finance Committee will meet at 7:30 at Kennebunk Elementary School on the L.Y. Road in Kennebunk.
And that's AM.
AM,
7:30
yes.
AM.
Okay.
Those are the committee and board reports.
I don't have any update from RSU 21 because their meetings have been the same nights as for a little while ago, so.
We'll get back off of that. And Yes.
Provide a new superintendent.
Yep, tonight's meeting it is,
Yeah.
the assistant superintendent is the one who is being promoted. Her name escapes me.
Hoss. Last name's Hoss?
Yes.
It's on paper.
Yeah, it was in paper, so I apologize, I don't remember her first name, but yes, she will be taking over. And I believe Dr. Crowley's coming back to ML Day.
Yeah, so what's gonna happen with the principal that was, you know?
That, I don't know, not sure. I don't, if he didn't come from a different school in the district, I don't believe.
Where he came from.
Yeah, so, I think he knew he was interim, so I'm not sure what will happen there. But I can say Corey's done a great job. He's done, since Kevin's been gone, Corey's done a lot with the town, done a lot with the community. So I can definitely say he did a great job here.
I think he could be wrong.
He might.
He's looking for work.
It's the last time I hear the road commissioner.
Yeah.
It keeps coming out. I don't
It's like when we did the charter, remember David Jasmine? And if
Yeah.
you remember
Oh,
him,
yeah.
he always said he was gonna run for the clam warden.
That's right.
Yeah, for Arundel.
Okay. Any other committee and board reports anybody wants to report on? No? Okay. Moving on to new business. I'm going to read a kind of a letter that I put together here basically on updating what's going on with the town manager. And I'll send you the email, the actual document itself in case, yeah, put it in the minutes. So as most of you already know, this is basically for the public here. You know, our town manager's last day is January 30th. He has accepted a position with Kennebunk Light and Power. As we search for a new town manager, the Board of Selectmen has named Jack Turcott as the interim town manager. Jack, raise your hand. Jack's resume consists of a long list of public service from superintendent of numerous schools to town manager. He has a very positive outlook on life, and we welcome Jack as he fills in while we find a new town manager. The Board of Selectmen have hired Eaton Peabody to help with the new town manager search. We have put together a search committee, and it consists of the Board of Selectmen members, John Bell from the Budget Board, Economic Development Committee, and Jack Lee from the general public, along with Eaton Peabody. Eaton Peabody's role is to assist the search committee in determining the essential skills and experience required for the next town manager. They will work with the committee in items that include, but are not limited to, developing a timeline, advertising, screening, reviewing candidates, scheduling interviews, completing background checks on top candidates, and assisting in contract negotiations. So we've got a timeline that has been identified, and I'll just briefly touch base on a couple of the items in the timeline. February 2nd is an ad that's going to be placed in the ICMA, MMA, and the main job bank. February 9th and 23rd, this is the real important piece here, we're going to have a public meetings on the town manager search. And the intent of these meetings is to gather input from the public on what they feel are the major issues in Arundel and what types of traits, qualities they would like to see for our new town manager. These meetings will be held here at 6:30 p.m., February 9th and the 23rd. February 27th, the applications are due. March 4th, we'll have the packets for the applicants, and Don Jarish from Eaton Peabody will narrow down the applicants and present them to us. Somewhere around March 2nd, March 10th, the committee will meet to decide when we're going to set the candidates' interview dates, and we're going to decide on where they're going to be held, and also go over what questions we can and cannot ask. March 16th to 19th, or March 26th to 23rd to 26th. Within those 2 weeks, we're going to be doing some interviews, and we'll give options for the candidates that are not around here, if there are some, to be interviewed either by phone or by Skype. All of the interview decisions will be made on which candidates to offer a second interview during that time frame. Those candidates' background checks will be done, and background check will be done. March 30th, April 2nd, April 6th to April 9th, in that time frame, we'll do the second interviews, and we hope to have a final decision on the top candidate at that point and begin contract negotiations. Our goal is April 13th to the 23rd timeframe is to have that negotiated and announce who our new town manager is and when he's gonna start.
Or she.
Or she, absolutely. You know, we still have one more meeting before Todd leaves, but on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I would like to thank Todd for his service and wish him the best of luck in his new endeavor. Todd has set the bar pretty high, and our next town manager certainly has some big shoes to fill. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much. When's the one more meeting?
Tonight.
We have another meeting. I screwed up on my days, maybe, yeah.
Tonight's my last night, yeah, so
Yeah.
if you didn't bring that silver bullet in, you missed.
Yeah.
Did you have a road commission meeting?
Yeah, for some reason when okay. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Well, over. You're the first one to catch it.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
First one.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, next item. Selectmen review proposed language in regards to the life insurance premiums to be paid by the town pursuant to section 5.7 of the town annual personnel policy.
I really wish I could have described it in fewer words. Tom, I was expecting you to come out and shoot me with both barrels on this one. But that's what I came up with to describe what exactly is going on. I don't know if you've all had a chance to review it. If not, could you please review it now and make any recommendations for changes? I wanted to be clear that the current insurance includes one time, and the town is willing to pay for an additional one time. That's what I came up with.
Kind of what we discussed the last time we talked about this.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So in effect, the town is paying for one times their salary. If the employee gets is part of that MMA trust, then they're getting an extra one free from there.
Yes. And I was asked, if the language is correct, I just want to bring up, this may come up at a later date, may be decided now. Wendy has been not taking the town's insurance for over a decade. I didn't realize that, as I said, going through this whole process, I adjusted a lot of premiums, and hers has been like that, she tells me, since she started working here, that she has not taken the insurance, and she has been getting 2 times her salary. So that's, this language notwithstanding, if the board agrees that Wendy is grandfathered through this, we can either put an effective date on here for the employees that will be impacted that have been long-term employees, or I can just put a note to the file if the board agrees to proceed with Wendy's as is, because it has been a long-term benefit that she's been receiving. That's something for the board to consider after the language is decided upon. But she did tell me that, I mean, Wendy's been here for 23 years, and I couldn't research all of the records, but for as long as she hasn't been taking the town's insurance, she has been receiving the 2 times, the one-time death benefit and the supplemental life paid for by the town.
Obviously, if we're going to continue this, I think for her, we certainly need to document it.
Yes. And if the board wants to make a motion to that effect, we'll put those minutes in the file, and that will cover any discrepancies that come up. And moving forward in the future, there will no longer be any issue.
It's the board's pleasure.
Wendy's the only employee. That's,
I believe,
It's impacted.
yeah, I misunderstood when I had talked to her previously,
Yeah.
but apparently way back when the insurance came through and, you know, gave us the additional life insurance where she hasn't been taking the health insurance, I guess John agreed to let, you know, rather than, because the cost of the savings from not taking the health insurance, that to make it fair, he would give her the equal amount of life insurance that everybody else in the office got. I wasn't aware of that till after I came back the other day, and I was talking with her, and I said I had no idea about that. And she was saying, well, it saves the town a lot of money by not her being on it, and so this is what John had done way back. And I think she's probably the only one. I think there might have been somebody else in the past, but I don't think they're here anymore, so.
She's the only current
So she's the
employee
only
that was
one.
impacted by that.
Yeah, everybody else is newer, you know, so.
So grandfather.
Yeah, grandfather.
Mm.
If you that's fair.
And it's like, I think it's $10, is
Yeah,
it
it's
$10
$10
a month or
month.
something that it comes out to, and we're saving $400 or $500 of
Yep.
insurance a
400
month.
and whatever it is, 446. If they get half.
Do we need a motion that this new policy start February 1st and that any employee who is grandfathered otherwise continues to receive?
Or you can name Wendy specifically, and I'll put that in her file.
Okay. And that Wendy be grandfathered under,
Because it's been
under
a long.
under her policy.
Absolutely.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, it was a motion, yeah. This will start February 1st, and Wendy will be grandfathered with the coverage that she currently has.
A second?
Discussion, what's the lines now, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down, you got one times there,
Yeah.
then you need one times something, salary. right?
Salary, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me what
One
time that
time.
life is worth.
Just one time.
So,
Okay, anybody else got any other discussion, comments? All those in favor? None opposed, motion carries.
One more time, but I'll
You
get
did,
that as well.
another one time?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, up there, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I'll change those and I'll send
Mhm.
copies to all of you.
Okay. The next item is the town manager to provide the board of selectmen with preliminary budget figures for fiscal year 15-16 town budget.
I placed them on your desk. Haven't had a chance to go over these with Jack yet, but this is a good part of what he and I will be discussing in the next couple of days to get him up to speed with where we are. Right now, as proposed, revenues are gonna go up about 26.5 if Jack agrees with it. Like I said, these are just preliminary proposals using historical. If the governor and the legislature take their hands on excise, that's a battle that everybody's going to have, but as of right now, we're ahead of the curve for excise tax for the current fiscal year. As of January 20th, we had collected $444,000. So if, history is a trend and those months are all about average, I budgeted $675 this year, and we should get close to $800 excise tax revenue this year. President's Day hasn't hit yet, everybody buys their new cars then, and there's been just a stream of new vehicles coming in town hall. Sim can definitely vouch for me on that. The purchase price is a lot more nowadays, and excise tax is just coming in. So I would expect, if the town doesn't hit $800,000 for excise tax revenue this year, I'll be surprised. So just keep an eye on that as you're moving forward. Nothing really has changed in a major way. Page 1, intergovernmental, once again, I have revenue sharing at $150,000. That's another battle that's coming in the legislature.
Are you budgeting revenue sharing?
I have been budgeting revenue sharing, yes.
And we'll continue.
Yeah, we've cut it back, unless you decide to change that, and like I said, Jack will go over a pretty fine tooth comb so that you know
I just
what's.
wondered about revenue sharing.
Yeah, and we've been budgeting it, and,
Even the governor's budget is eliminated for this year.
Right.
It's the next.
The following,
Right.
yeah.
so if what they're going to cut it back to is what's proposed, the $150,000 is gonna be covered. But it's fiscal year 16-17
Right.
that they're proposing to eliminate it altogether. Hopefully there'll be some traction somewhere to eliminate that push.
So we now have there's a state grant now for the homestead exemption?
Yes, well, we've been getting homes, that comes every year. It's just under intergovernmental. Right now, we get half of the money back that we rebate to the homesteaders. So the state sends us back a check for half of that money.
That too is on the job.
And that
What's that?
That too is on the job.
Yeah, where was it in last year's budget?
right there, same spot. 67.5, it's $2,000.
Yeah, I was looking back at 14.
Yeah, yes, exactly, and we didn't budget for it until last fiscal year. That was something that was never budgeted for in Arundel.
Yeah.
But this year, we're already at 68,000 just in homestead exemption. And so, you know, there's all kinds of different proposals out there right now about what they want to do with the homestead. So it's going to be a little while before Jack or whoever takes his place is going to know what's going to hit. Typically, this time of year is when it all comes up, and if our legislators are going to bat for us, it'll all go away if MMA does their job. But I can never guarantee that. So those are all concerns to be considered. And then there are no real major changes for this coming fiscal year. On the third page, I have upped legal to $30,000 just because of the things that are going on in town. There's always a potential for legal to go through the moon. So I've got that up to $30,000. I brought audit up to 14, which I'll be readjusting again because I just got the replies on Friday, and some of the rates I was hearing that were out there led me to believe that I'd need 14,000 this year, but they came in, the lowest bidder was half that price, so I'll be able to adjust that before you see that again. I'll just, if it's all right with you, briefly go through this. This budget includes, and it's going to be a decision of the board, but I just wanted to get it in there for discussion, a 3% salary increase once again for all full-time employees. This would be the third consecutive year of a 3% increase if the board decides to move forward with this. I made the formulas in the spreadsheet, Jack, so you can change it real easy. I'll take care of that with you. But the increases in these, the numbers you're going to see, consider 3%, but that's up to the board to make a decision on. Health insurances all went up considerably as well. I put in a 10% increase. I'm going to back that up because it was a 7% increase, and the reason I had 10% is the 7% went from January 1st to July to June 30th. We don't know, January 1st to December 31st. But we don't know yet what will happen for the next fiscal year, and if things keep moving the way that they are, we'll have another pretty stark increase, and this needs to cover 2 halves of, because the calendar year is what's used for health insurance, and we use our fiscal year, so there's got to be some adjustment available there, but I can scale that back a little bit as well.
You and Maine Municipal?
We are within municipal, and it was a 7% increase for us this year.
So it's based upon usage, right?
That's it. Yeah. Well, we're not rated because we're not big enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that.
No,
If you're
so-
small enough, you don't get rated?
Correct, and so
Right.
all non-rated municipalities went up 7%. Some of
Right.
the rateds went up even higher than that, but Affordable Care Act hasn't done anything for the private marketplace from what we've seen, speaking of not only towns that use MMA, but other entities that are using private insurers that are taking a hit. Let's see. Electricity, I had projected a 25% increase. That can be ratcheted back now too, because standard offer didn't come in as high as we thought it was going to come in. I'm still waiting to hear from Efficiency Maine whether or not they're going to make any concessions to what they were proposing for an increase, so that may be adjustable. Other major increases. The fire chief I haven't met with on his budget. Mine was just a historical, looking at like vehicle maintenance on the fire department. I increased that by $5,000 because they're going through right now fair amount of money. And the ambulance, I have the RFP in front of you this evening, but that's going to need to be looked over pretty intently because it's a pretty specific document, and that'll be a 10 months out after it's purchased. So we're going to need to cover those expenses, but I did bump up some of those lines for him. I think his fuel, they were running short on fuel. The things that I saw that needed to be fixed, I fixed. Haven't met with Chief, I met with Roger, I met with Jen, and I met with myself, did the rest of the budgets, Wendy. Let's see, so other major increases that are in here. Roger asked for a $5,000 increase for part-time salaries that he will discuss with you, and he asked for a $5,000 increase for vehicle maintenance. Brian, we have Brian on board, and he's doing a really good job, but he's also finding issues that need to be addressed as those trucks get older and older. So that was a $26,000 increase for Public Works. Transfer station, we have an increase, another 3% increase from Waste Management. That, I think you all know, or most of you know how that RFP worked out in the past. Stu would like to see a 3% increase because they went for 3 years with nothing. That's something the board needs to decide on as well. And if that does happen, it will go up to $6,366 a month for the transfer station. Roger said there's some repairs that need to be done to the building, so I've increased the building maintenance to $1,500. General assistance is the 3% increase, and then the insurance increase. Recreation, there was a $2,932 increase there. I haven't been able to get it into the budget yet, but she has proposed a $3,000 increase in her revenues that she feels very comfortable that she'll be able to reach to cover that increase in her department. And then reserves and debt I left as is. That's a discussion that the board has to have. For Kennebunk Free Library, I did ratchet it up to $13,000. Spoke to Jill LeMay. I told her I thought $12,000 was going to be the max. She told me that the town still would get their cards at $12,000, but they would like to see a $1,000 increase. And then this year, the Chamber of Commerce requested a $500 increase in their allocation.
Yeah. Go back here where we've got all of these other ones that we donate to.
Yep.
Your county communication, your county community action counseling services, Southern Maine Parent Awareness. That all the same amount that we've given?
Yes. Yes, it is. Wendy usually goes through all their requests, figures out who she's dealt with that's dealt with these people, and she's been comfortable with the 5,800. What she typically does is if somebody increases, she'll figure out which ones she uses more, which ones are more valuable to the town, and then she'll reallocate that 5,800.
So these dollar figures, are these requests that have come to the town, or is she just using the history and saying?
Some of them are requests that have actually come in, other ones are just historical requests that we haven't received yet. Eastern Trail, I bumped that up to $3,000 from $2,250 for the maintenance because Roger ran out of that $2,250 in November, and it's coming out of his own budget right now because we don't overextend that, so it just defaults Public Works budget. That's on the same page as those social services requests, Dan, right below it. So that was a $750 increase there. So for operation as proposed with the increase in revenue and the increase in, we're looking at about a $50,000, $50,000 to $60,000 increase in the municipal budget. I feel comfortable saying that the increase in value in the town would be able to cover that increase, but that, as I said, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how I want to do it, it won't be my budget by the time town meeting comes. So I made recommendations, I did everything in the spreadsheet. I'll explain all the formulas to Jack. I tried to meet with the budget board last Wednesday night. We didn't have a quorum, so 3 of the members have this information. And the other members, I'm just waiting to hear from them so I can get that in their hands. But it's now in your hands.
Does this reflect, aren't you going to have a conversation with coal insurance?
Yeah.
We had huge increases on.
Yeah, there were some adjustments, and he's still telling me that we can go out to bid on auto insurance, but it hasn't happened yet. So all the other ones have been brought into line to where we were. It's the auto insurance that was a big jump last year. That he said it was industry-wide. All municipalities got hit, and I talked to a few managers, and they've all gotten about a 25% increase. It's because we all have a target on our back, I think, but. Yeah, right? Municipal auto. That's when those people slide into your plow truck and sue you for $400,000.
Is that still ongoing, or did that get settled?
Still ongoing, they have a deposition Friday. But there's a snowstorm, so they've been made aware that if it's snowing, they can't come up.
Anybody got any questions on this?
I have one thought.
Yep.
What's next?
What's
gonna
next?
be next in the process of that document?
Yep, next in the process will be to schedule meetings. My recommendation this year would be Board of Selectmen and Budget Board together to meet with department heads, but typically the department heads will come in and meet and justify the increases or decreases. That's usually done separately, Jack, with the Budget Board and the Selectmen. I would recommend to you that you try to get them to do it all together. You have Public Works come in, you have Fire Department come in, go through, make sure the board here agrees with you, and take it to town meeting.
Yeah.
What's the board's comment on?
100%. I don't know why we've never done that before.
Yeah.
Makes the most sense ever.
And this budget board this year is pretty functional, and I think they're pretty amenable to doing that. I think it'll save everybody a lot of time.
Well, you're not so big that you can't do that, right?
Nope,
I mean,
nope, absolutely not. They're more than allowed to do that.
Well, we talked about that a little bit last year.
At the end of last year, I think that was the agreement, is that, you know what,
Right.
I beat this thing to death with the budget board, then, Board of Selectmen would weigh in and we'd come to an agreement. Well, if everybody did it together, it would save everybody a lot of time in the first
You
year.
end up losing like a month because
yeah.
it's,
First year, I was
There's potential for beating each other over the head
Yeah.
is reduced dramatically if you work it together, right? I mean,
Can we do that at a regular selectmen's meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll go over that, I'll give you all those contacts, I'll put the word out to the budget board, and I'll say, that's the easiest way to do it, because first year I did a budget here, I think we spent 8 weeks beating each other up over the budget.
Yeah.
Agreed on what I proposed, and then they wanted the motion to reconsider.
well, I would assume the budget committee is a recommendation only.
Yes, exactly. That's what the selectmen's budget.
This is our budget,
Exactly.
they review it,
Yeah,
but ultimately it's us.
it's the selectmen's budget.
If
So,
they-
Doug, can you make sure that you give them a timeline?
Yep.
Like a timeline.
Absolutely.
And-
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay,
All right, so that's that.
we can do that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, item D, town manager to provide the Board of Selectmen with preliminary RFP for replacement ambulance.
It's cumbersome.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. Yeah.
64 pages long.
Yeah.
I told the chief a while back I wanted to see this, and I told him beginning of this month, my last meeting is January 26th, and I highly recommend you get that before the board before I leave. This may or may not be something Jack wants to get involved with. It's going to simply be issuing an RFP. The town has the cash to buy the ambulance in a reserve account. It's going to take 10 months for that ambulance to come in from the order.
Yeah, I've done that before.
So that's going to be up to the Board of Selectmen as to whether or not you want to move forward with the RFP. I would not recommend reading the whole thing. I would probably recommend meeting with the fire chief and the officers of the department who put their recommendations into this. This is very, very specific. I read the entirety of this document. You're getting a Ford F-Series ambulance if you go with the exact wording of this. Go ahead, Phil.
My experience talking to other folks, the Ford diesel ambulances are nothing but trouble.
Yep,
this is
this
gas.
is gas.
If it's a gas,
Yep.
okay.
I've spoken to other fire chiefs. The other chief I spoke to said the E-Series, do not buy it. They have engine problems and you have to pull the body off the engine every time they have to fix it. The International body is a four-wheel drive, big turning radius, a lot more money. This is a gas job figured with on spots, two-wheel drive. I can't weigh in on whether or not it does what we need it to do, whether or not it does more than we need it to do. Jason may know better than I do. I don't.
Do you have something to put this together, Jay?
Yeah,
I mean, have you read the entirety of it, Jason?
No, no,
It's, yeah.
Congratulations
I
on your honesty.
fell asleep 3 times before I got through the whole thing. But it is very, very thorough and very specific.
Other departments have this unit? Have
Yes.
series?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, as you all know. I think this more or less was based on the dollar amount that they were told up front that they had to spend. That's why it's been geared. It then went this way with it. That's why you got such a detailed RFP. Because it narrows the playing field on the ambulance so much that it brings it right to the exact dollar amount that was mentioned. The other end of the spectrum is, I don't know that we necessarily have to go by this RFP. We've seen 10 ambulances in person at the Arundel Fire Department have been brought to us, both demos and ambulances that can be built. And there are numerous demo ambulances that would be at or under the budget that we've set for the ambulance and would go above and beyond what's been spec'd here.
That are on the market or can't be on the market?
They're on the market right now, yeah.
Why are we looking at that?
I don't know. I don't know why the chief and the deputy chief haven't made that an option, I don't know. And to be quite honest, in the town of Arundel that does 500 calls a year, I don't necessarily think we have to go brand new. I think a demo ambulance would be completely fine for us, 100%.
Sounds to me like we
Especially
should
if
sit
you have
down with
more
them
than
and
what
discuss
we're
this.
looking for.
And it would be a better ambulance than what we've spent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, then,
And it would be cheaper.
We ought to have a little workshop around that.
Oh, the cheaper that you get it.
yeah.
And we wouldn't have to wait 10 months to get it. It would be here,
Right.
you know, after they let her light it. And,
A demo's gonna have what, 12, 15,000 on it?
yeah.
Just broken in.
And we could get a diesel demo. I mean, Phil can contest to this. A diesel motor with 12,000 miles on it. I don't care if it's an ambulance or not. I mean, that's nothing on a diesel motor.
That's correct.
As long as you can get at the motor,
Just
who
as well.
cares?
So, yeah.
Jason, does it give you a little bit more choices as far as the options and the type of vehicle it is?
Yeah.
Because this one, this one sounds to me like it zeroes it right into a targeted vehicle.
Yeah, that's exactly what this does.
Targeted
Yeah.
vehicle.
We don't have a choice but to buy what's been
It's like
cited.
it's written by the,
Targeted
Yeah.
horns, targeted, I mean, you name it, this guy.
Is there anything substantial that's missing from these demos that you've seen that?
The only difference that you'll find would be compartment-wise. A demo ambulance comes with a specific amount of compartment space, compartment layout. You might get one shelf instead of 2 shelves in a unit, but it's very easy to add another shelf inside these compartments.
they all have wheels.
Yep.
Yeah, all the wheels.
Have they checked it to see with the mechanic as far as any pros and cons on any of the models?
Unfortunately, no, they don't go that route. They go based on area departments, and I don't necessarily think that's what we need to do. You know, just because Biddeford has bought the top of the line, GMC chassis monster diesel motor ambulance, that's what everybody wants over there. I don't think we need to go there. Doesn't make any sense for us.
So let's schedule it.
Yeah, and something that just needs to be considered is anything over 5,000 needs to go to competitive bid. I don't know how you want to interpret that. I had interpreted it in the past as RFP. Competitive bid could be, you know what? I need to see every ambulance that, anybody's got a demo, let's see it.
Yeah.
The closest one that comes to what we need. I'll tell you right now, after this current fiscal year, there will be $244,000 in the fire department capital reserve. I believe they should be able to pick up an ambulance between 150 and 175.
Yeah.
That's more than is
We
needed.
were told 150 on what they call a Horton ambulance.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful ambulance, absolutely beautiful ambulance. And they went as far to tell us, when it was brought to us, it's plain Jane, there's no letters on it, there's no lights on it, there's no... They would actually build the light compartments, obviously letter it to Arundel Fire Department. to our spec, so it's, I mean, essentially, all we're doing is like avoiding the middleman, so to speak, on a demo ambulance.
And what was the discussion on why they didn't want to go that way?
It was put out to committee. Some of the committee members worked for big cities and thought they knew what they wanted. A couple of the people that I was told were on that committee were from Arundel. The Arundel people realized low dollars, it has to do what we want. Other city people said, oh, you can't do it without this, you can't do it without that. And so I guess they compromised, and this is what the vehicle they came up with. But I was told that, I've seen probably 6 or 8 of those demos. They're not gonna be exactly what they need, but if they do the job and they're as functional as they need to be,
Well, this worked out,
the
this
big cities around
certainly
us.
ties our hands.
Couldn't, if you have funds available too, couldn't you do some slight modification to those demos?
Oh,
To bring it to the standard that you want?
Right.
The
Yeah,
only
when
thing
you pick
that
up
you-
something for 150,000 and you spend
And you put
5,
8
10,
into it, right,
15,
yeah.
whatever to add, or what's missing, or.
The only thing that you're gonna avoid is the chassis specification. I don't know what they, like I said, I didn't read the whole thing, but whether or not you get LED lights on the, but that's all stuff that can be changed out,
I was a page and a half into it before I realized they knew exactly what ambulance they were getting,
Well,
because that's the only one that was.
Yeah, and in there, it specifically says the model.
Yeah,
There's one spot there where it specifically says Ford, it says right in it.
and I'll talk to Jack to bring to your attention, but also bring it to the board's attention now that an option is to go with a 3-year lease purchase
Yeah.
and pay it off in 2 years, because we have the funding, but in case anything goes majorly wrong with some other piece of apparatus, this is just off the top of my head, but last time I looked, I think it was 1.25% interest on a lease purchase. That gives you a chunk in reserve that you're still able to keep. You're saving an interest, you're making 2 payments that first year, and then that second year.
What it really does is buy a warranty, right?
Exactly.
That it buys you time for warranty, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just something to consider.
Who's gonna offer that though?
Almost any, some
guys are with
some of the
demos?
lenders, the finance, we work with Androscoggin Bank, they do
Right,
lease
the
purchasing.
bank,
So,
right,
yeah,
okay.
any of the financial institutions will do that with you, but some of the lenders work in concert with their financial institution. But Androscoggin will do it for us, that's who we do our banking with. Gordon Savings does it, I think People's United, most financial institutions run a lease purchase program with municipalities where you own it after the payments, so that is very doable. And
How is
another
that gonna
thing-
assist on a warranty? We're not getting a warranty from Anderson.
Well, no, just warranty, you got some money in reserve in case
That's-
something.
oh,
Right,
okay.
and it's their vehicle, so if
Yeah.
it's
If there's a serious problem
right,
with it.
they own it, not you.
Wow.
But it costs you for that, I mean, right? It costs you
Well,
1.5%.
1.5%.
Right.
Money well spent.
I just thought of something else too.
Yeah.
That's God. Just had a thought, but maybe it'll come back to me.
It's an age thing,
Well,
it's
I
a
think it
road.
is, yeah. All right, so I'll, if I think of it, it'll
Obviously
definitely
Kenny
come
will
back.
like power. Yeah.
Have anything to do with light switches?
We'll let it come on next week.
It was never that way when he was strictly just a town manager.
So yes, that's the ambulance and the RFP, but certainly, I think a competitive bid would be, we want to see every demo ambulance that we can get in our barn in the next 3 months. And they'll throw them at you, they'll give you the prices, and you can go from there.
The ambulance we have now is in extremely
Oh,
rough shape.
that's what I was gonna say, thank you very much, Jason, is there was talk about keeping it as a backup ambulance. We cannot make money with that ambulance as a backup in the town of Arundel in order to staff what we need to run that
You
ambulance.
can have 2 shifts.
So
right?
that's another thing that they need to take into consideration is trade-in value for the one that we have. It's gotta be worth something.
Oh, definitely.
We're not gonna get,
Uncle
when you put
Andrews.
it out to RFP, you're gonna get $1,000 to, seal the deal, somebody to buy it from us. And somebody that really wants to do business with the town should be able to give us $6-7 grand. I mean, we get something out of that ambulance, but we don't. In my experience, town of Arundel does not need a backup ambulance. It's gonna just cost money.
We have backup with Kennebunk, oh, Cameron, Bedford,
Kennebunk has 3 ambulances,
yeah.
Bedford has 2 ambulances,
And
Pennyport has 2
sometimes
ambulances,
We go cover Kenny, because
Goodman's
they don't
Village
have
has
the
2
staffing.
ambulances. We don't need another
Numerous
ambulance.
pickup trucks in the area.
Yeah.
So that's that on that RFP.
Yeah. So we're gonna, so the plan is to,
Get the chief in here.
yeah, not go, this is
Yeah.
just too restrictive.
Have a discussion,
Work
right?
with some, yeah, and work with some demos,
Yeah.
see how
I
many
think that would
demos
be our
we-
best, that's my personal opinion, I think that would be by far our best route.
Okay. Good. Next item is the town manager to provide the Board of Selectmen with with results of RFP for auditing services for a 5-year period beginning with the current fiscal year.
All right, so I haven't made any decisions on this. This is something else that I'm gonna discuss with Jack. If Jack wants to make the decision, he can. If Jack wants to punt to the next person, that's gonna be kind of close. We sent out RFPs for audit services. We got 3 responses back. All 3 firms are, we currently use Smith and Associates. Smith and Associates made a proposal, but they weren't the cheapest one. Not always look for the cheapest one in auditing. RHR Smith submitted a proposal. They were the cheapest one, $6,800 a year for each of the 5 years. And then RKO, Runyon Kirsten Willett, provided an RFP, and they were the most expensive over the 5 years. I've worked with, like I said, Smith and Associates, and I have experience with RHR Smith. I know a lot of towns around here that work with RKO. They all do the same job, they all provide the same product. If the board wants to make a decision off price alone, it's obviously gonna be RHR. If we want to do further homework, I can provide you with all the resumes, everything they provided me with for information.
So Smith Associates is the one that we've used.
Smith and Associates, the one that's done the last 5 years.
And they're very prompt and very fast about getting the audit in.
Yes, they are.
What we used before we went to,
Before that, there was another firm that Wayne Smith broke off from, and I'm not sure if Smith and Associates and RHR Smith were one company at one
Oh, at one
point.
time.
I don't know what their backgrounds are, but I know that Wayne Smith came from somewhere else and started his own
Yeah, I'm
firm.
gonna say, we used RHR before.
Oh.
I
You
remember
have?
that.
Okay.
This is current.
That's current.
have you used any of these firms, Jack? Are you familiar
Yeah,
with any of these firms?
unfortunately, running a Kirsten, I've used a lot. Well, yeah, because they do schools as well, but they also do electric, and they tend to be pricey because they're a little higher in sophistication as far as their operation, you know? It's like the big dealership, the little dealership.
Yeah,
But, I mean, they got more overhead.
yeah, more real estate to cover.
That's really what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Are you happy with the existing auditor?
I think Wayne does a great job. Wayne and his team do a great job. And if I were gonna make that recommendation, that's
And
what
he's
I'm saying.
your current lowest bidder?
He's not,
No.
not the
No,
lowest.
second.
He's the
Second.
second.
But it's
Right.
not that far off.
No,
By a few
for the
hundred,
first
right.
year, first year he is the lowest. And then RHR stayed at 6,800 for all 5 years. And Wayne Smith went up every year, 67.50, 69.50, 71.50, 73.50, 75.50, which is opposite of what he did for our last contract. Last time he came to work for Arundel, he started high and then decreased each year he came in. But he has done excellent work, he is prompt, they answer all our questions, our experience with them. I've worked with them since I've been here, and I can say nothing bad about Wayne and his crew.
You added it up, Jason?
Yeah.
It would be a good time to keep status quo, I mean, you know, with lots of other transitions and all that.
Right, exactly.
Especially since we have such a good
You
rapport with
got
them.
new finance help, you got new
What's the
marriage
plan?
situations, right?
On Smith?
Which one?
Smith and Associates,
35,750.
and then RHR.
RHR is 34,000.
35,000 what, Jason?
$750 on Wayne Smith.
And the
And
other
the
one
last one's
is,
$51,634.
And I'd like to just repeat, or have Jack
well, it's
repeat
only
what he just said,
1750.
is, if you want me to go?
Oh, you're the town manager, you go, right?
So I'm leaving, Jack will be here, there's another town manager who's gonna take Jack's place. Lisa Vargas was here, Rebecca Simpson was here, Lisa Dennis here now. So there's been transition there'll be transition in management, transition in finance. It might be a good idea to go with the same auditing firm because they're gonna keep
They're
that
familiar with-
same
Yeah.
steady process. But that, I have no skin in the game whatsoever. I can just tell you that Wayne does a good job.
Not a good time to train a new auditor. and
Change
That would be my gut reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to financially, that's one thing, but then.
So, comments from the board?
That was 34,000 even in the first one.
so the difference is 1,500.
Yeah.
Over 5 years.
1,750
Yeah.
over the course of 5 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
And then there's a $16,000 jump too.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a no-brainer.
now I think that if Wayne knows the operation, you like his work,
Yeah.
people that work in the town office like his work, I think he does a very good job getting us the audit and taking care of things. And I don't have a problem sticking with it.
Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And let's face it, in the next 5 years,
Keep me
if
alive.
seasonal cottages goes to fruition, I mean, that's gonna be a substantial more amount of work for him.
Yeah,
I don't mind increasing the next 5 years, just for that simple fact.
Absolutely.
Phil, your thoughts?
I agree. I think we should stay right where we are for now,
yeah.
with all the changes in the office, especially.
All right, so
Anything different you want to add, Tom?
I'll just move that we accept bid of Smith and Associates CPAs for auditing services for the next 5 years at the amount stated in the request for proposal.
A second.
We have a motion by Tom to go with Smith Associates CPAs, seconded by Phil. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Pretty good. Okay, treasurer's report.
All right, so I already hit the excise tax revenues are doing very well. Snowmobiles have been coming in fairly nonstop the last few days.
They'll come in better towards the end of the week.
Exactly. I think everything is on pace to hit target, or not, if not exceed target for revenues, so I have no major concerns there. Ambulance is at 73,000 already, we budgeted 110, so I think today, it was nonstop, but they've been running quite a bit. And I think there's been a difference in that bundled building that the board decided on last year. We're collecting more revenue from the calls that we're going out on, so that's a good thing. So on the revenue side, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. And if not, we'll go to expenses. One concern right now is legal. Right now, we've got $6,600 left in the legal budget of the $20,000 that was allocated. That's on the first page, 04-2004. So on the first expense summary report page, Dan, page 1,
Yeah.
about 3/4 of the way down the page.
04 right there. Legal?
Yeah.
Legal,
Professional
there's
service.
6,600 left. There will be room within the professional services line to make up for some of that. The other option to the board will be to go back to the public and ask for more money, or authorize a transfer from somewhere else into that department.
Are we due to be reimbursed for any outstanding legal debt?
Not on that, no, all the legal we've been reimbursed on has been coming out of the, actually, no, I apologize. Kraus does have about $1,200 that they'll reimburse on their consent agreement, that'll get credited back to that line. But other than that, all the other legal has been coming out of contingency.
So nothing due to us from Du Bois since?
No. No. So there's a concern there. Public Works, is going to make adjustments to their budget, but if you go to,
Can I ask a question
Sure.
about that concern?
yep,
We have the ability to move a certain amount of funds from one account to another.
yes, you do.
So, do you think that that would cover us? I mean, we can't, there's no way that we can say, okay, don't do anything legal until July 1st. We've got to keep going with these cases.
Absolutely. And historically, just within the general government line, which is Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, and Town Committees, historically, there's money there that's available to be consolidated and placed in the legal budget. And according to that warrant article, you can pretty much move money from anywhere. So if you get closer to the end of the year, there will be accounts that have not been expended and are not going to be expended that you can transfer into the legal line very easily without having to go back to town meeting and ask for more money. Any other questions on page 1?
Problem.
Probably questions?
I just had an idea about a potential transfer.
No.
Oh, yeah, probably, because
Yeah.
you'll be saving there.
Yeah.
I can read your mind, Jack.
I certainly.
Done Monday.
Okay.
I can take the rest of the week off.
All right, I'm thinking we could use a little transfer.
All right, so the other concern I had, which was a concern Roger wanted to pass on, is Public Works, which is page 4. Part-time budget is blown, but he will, he's definitely going to work within his means. Since I've been here, he's overexpended accounts, and he's never overexpended his entire budget. He's got a keen understanding of where his budget's at, and I can almost guarantee you that he'll come out with money left in that account. But I just he wanted me to bring that to your attention, because that's gonna be a conversation that's gonna happen this year, during the budget season. Yeah. But he's doing okay on overtime right now. We had that conversation last week. People have been complaining about, we haven't been getting snow, but we've been getting a lot of sand and salting, and he said for the town of Arundel, he doesn't have a little bit. Last year, it seemed like overtime was coming every single pay period.
On the weekend.
Until, yeah, exactly, all the storms were on the weekends. Until this storm hits tonight, and they'll be in for about 35, 36 hours.
This will be a long one.
That'll hit, and that'll hurt. This coming Friday, there's another snowstorm, but we've made it through, a full month without any serious overtime, so I think we'll be in good shape there.
So, last year we added a body for him, right?
Yes.
And that was supposed to alleviate the part-time. So what's the issue? Apparently it didn't.
Apparently it didn't. I haven't exactly had that full conversation with him, but I would expect the board will during the budget season. And other than that, those are the major concerns that I had. Everything else has a tendency to work itself out. Like I said, most of the department heads have been here long enough that they understand if something's going to be overexpended, they don't go outside of their warrant article, So I've never had to, there's a catch-all article in there, Jack, that allows you to transfer from one department to the other as long as you don't overexpend the entirety.
But the departments stay within their department.
They stay within their department. I've never had
That's
to-
really good. That's good management if they can do that now. I mean, individual lines are sometimes hard to predict.
And then if you just want to,
On the recreation budget, though.
Yeah.
What's with the communication? Communicate.
yeah, communication is, oh, that's supposed to be two separate lines, okay. The expenditure for, all right, so where are you? Communication is at 6076. 5,000 of that should actually have come out of the 3018, which is computers and software. And so I just need to make that adjustment.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that needs to be transferred.
Yeah.
What it is in the spreadsheet form of my budget, there wasn't a computer software line, so communication, computer software was combined, and that was misappropriated. Not misappropriated, just expensed the wrong line.
Okay.
So I'll get that taken care of.
Yeah, she finally paid for that computer program.
Yep, program's up and running, and a
Yeah.
few quirks here and there, but Sim's taking the ball and run with that thing. She's doing a great job registering people and getting them in there. I mean, it's, next year at this time, you'll reap some serious benefits, because the scheduling will be known, who's using what, it'll be a lot easier to track everything, and getting people to register, from what I understand, is a lot easier.
Do we pay for police at one lump sum at the end of the?
No, I just got the invoices. They typically forget to bill us until July, so this year I called Donna, said I'm leaving in February, I need to see those invoices. So yeah, we've got one, I've got them both, we'll pay one next month, and the other one will be paid in May. But yeah, they typically completely forget to send us a bill. And then 1 year in July, we had to go back and pull the money out of the last fiscal year. So if you go to General Ledger Summary Report, which is, that should be a standalone document that looks like the rest of them right there, Tom. Note in the packet, Phil. Do you have your packet with you? Oh, I got you guys all over the place. Yeah, right there. I just want to bring you to your attention, and Jack, since Jack's here anyway, if you go halfway down the page, it gives you the fund balance. Below that it says designated fund balance. I just want you all to just pay attention to the numbers here or what you have in reserve. So municipal building has $375,912.72. Nothing has been allocated to that for the current fiscal year. Public Works capital equipment, $124,848.59, with an additional $50,000 allocated this current fiscal year. So if that doesn't get touched again, he'll have $175,000 by the end of the year. And right down the line, I just want you to be aware that that's where you find these numbers, so that you know what we have in reserves. $32,000 in capital equipment, $11,000 in rec, $22,000 voting equipment, $7,200 in transfer station, which we still haven't received the invoice for the repairs that were authorized, so there'll be about $3,200 there after this fiscal year. In this budget you see, I proposed a $6,000 reimbursement to the transfer station reserve, because Roger anticipates at least one more of those roll-off cans needing to be repaired. And as he told us, and as Casella told us, repairing the ones we have will last longer, we'll get a better product than buying the new ones, because they're lighter gauge steel. Social services, just about $4,000. Fire department capital, rec bus reserve is $9,100. I am being told that the bus is beginning to rust on the ribs underneath the body and cross members. And so within the next 2 years, we may have to have Phil go to auction and find us another bus. Thank you, Phil. And it might be cheaper to just lift the sides off of the one rather than repaint it. We'll just swap bodies. But there's $9,100 there, with an additional $5,000 being allocated the current fiscal year and a proposed $5,000 for next year. $194 right now for the fire department capital equipment, with another $50,000 this year, and $50,000 being proposed next year. $87,000 for the municipal park reserve, no allocation this current year. The contingency reserve has $17,000, and I have once again requested to allocate $10,000 to that. The disaster fund is the one that will bail us out if they declare tomorrow a natural disaster. I know Massachusetts, and I think possibly New Hampshire,
Maine's only doing the state emergency.
If the governor declares a state of emergency and it's determined to be a natural disaster by FEMA, then we will be able to reimburse fuel and equipment lines from Public Works from that disaster fund, but that's what that's there for.
Overtime?
Yeah, and then we'll get those funds back from FEMA that end up going back into that account.
They'll take all of them and put them back.
Yeah.
Multiply it.
Yeah, rec scholarship, roughly $3,100. Road projects has $15,000 left from last year. I talked to Roger, he was comfortable with the $450,000 that I was just carrying over from last year to propose for this coming year's budget. I expected he might want a little bit more. Wayne Perry has indicated that he might be able to find us some DOT money to fix the duck brook. That's going to be a major issue. Roger takes a couple of years down the road. If the town has to pay for that, it's going to take an entire fiscal year's road budget, about $350,000 to $375,000 to fix that. Wayne he's got his ears up. He's on the transportation committee. He's going to try to find us some money for that.
Connor, these accounts are non-rollover accounts. I mean, right?
end of the year, they close out to their,
And stay.
and stay, yeah, they
They
don't
don't
go
go back to general
Nope,
fund,
nope, those are all
okay, so
designated
they're
funds.
basically capital reserve accounts.
Yep, absolutely.
Of different definition.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, excuse me, Todd, the public work fund, is that supposed to be minus the 1,500 for the generator? Or is that where that was coming from? The,
Capital equipment, that's where the, probably 300. Yeah, this was done on the 21st, let me check, I believe I made that transfer. That balance may adjust depending on what date this was printed, the 21st. So there might be $1,500 less than that, that's correct, so.
God, the only way that money comes in or out of there is through Selectmen's approval?
Board of Selectmen has to authorize any expenditures out of those
Yeah.
accounts. For those specific accounts,
there's a couple that, if the sale of like public works equipment, like when we
that's where
sold
that
the
$300
trucks.
came from. Yeah, departmental equipment that gets sold is specified in charter that it'll, in policy.
Go back
that
in,
it'll Go
yeah.
back into that, so the fire department sells a vehicle, it goes to
Yeah.
the fire department, public works sells a vehicle, it goes to public works.
So if we sell this ambulance, it can go back into
It's a
the.
business, yeah.
Yeah, if we sell it, the town has a piece of a piece of land or something that we sell, that goes into the municipal building.
Yes, that foreclosed property goes in the
Yeah.
municipal building.
The balance we have left in this branding service, $3,400, that's an undesignated balance. Is that what I'm reading?
That,
If not, why is it?
no, it's, we keep telling the auditors that it is designated and they continue to put it as an undesignated. Lisa just has to make that adjustment to make it a designated before the end of this fiscal year so that it'll carry over. But that is an undesignated because of the way it was allocated and the way the contract kind of ran over. That Chesapeake Group study wasn't completed to the full extent of it.
Right.
And so the 3,400, I told the auditors, should remain until such services can be found to complete that. So we have some money left in there, so that will be designated.
But we're not paying Chesapeake Group anymore.
We're not paying Chesapeake Group anymore.
Okay.
But there is $3,400 there, and I'll go over that with Jack, explain that to him to see how they want to move forward on, or how the board wants to move forward on that. I mean, it's a,
Should just sit there.
it will just sit there until, something genius comes along and.
Could use it for legal fees.
Not from a designated fund, Jack, not from a designated fund.
Wow, it's just an idea.
Yeah, oh yeah, good idea. You have nothing to do for the next 6 months? All right.
We get paid for our new road commissioner.
What'd you say?
Pay for the new road commissioner.
I backed off, I didn't say anything, you told me not to, I didn't say anything.
So those are those. Any further questions? All right,
Okay.
treasurer's, my final treasurer's report.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
Okay, let's see, next item is review and sign AP warrant.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, item H, appoint Jeff Turcott as treasurer and road commissioner.
Overseeing the poor.
Yeah.
So
Do I have a motion?
all of the above,
Oh, yeah, thanks.
anytime.
Okay.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
My friend
A
Tom.
second, all
Yeah.
those in favor? Carries.
Was the close call, is all I did to say.
There you go.
Next item is assign corporate resolution to authorize Jack Turcott to open and manage investment accounts.
So moved.
Second.
We'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Any discussion on that?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Any old business that anybody wants to discuss?
Yeah, just real quick, I don't know if anybody on the board was aware, but Branch Brook wants to put a 30,000 gallon propane storage tank at that facility on Route 1.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of it, I found out today. I'm surprised none of us had heard of it. You got more info on that?
So staff review, I don't know if they've had the meeting yet. I believe they're meeting this Thursday, the staff review committee on that project.
I think it was last Thursday, wasn't it? And then they did a site walk.
Okay, yeah, it was last Thursday, and they did a site walk. I haven't heard from Tad as to what happened to that, but I know that he does want to put a 30,000 gallon tank. It met the requirements in the ordinance of, I believe it was outdoor storage. I don't know the details of it. I'll have to have Tad give me an update and send you guys an email, but it met all the criteria that were in the, from what I saw in the review, met the criteria. I haven't heard what Public Works, Fire Department, all the other departments.
No, I'm just, I mean, between fire, selectmen, first I heard of it today was a local businessman called me and says, Jesus, what's going on? I received a postcard in the mail, which was late.
Yep.
Because he wanted to
Way
go
in.
to the walk.
Came in late?
He got it today. And they did the site walk and committee meeting on last Thursday. And he just had a concern because he's across the street from Branch Brook.
Yeah.
And wanted to know more detail on
Let me get the details.
the tank, location.
That's legitimate.
I mean, that's a big,
To ask questions.
that's a big propane tank.
Yep, absolutely. Let me get the details and send them on.
And
to
I
you
didn't have
guys.
any info to give him. That's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah. I know the fire chief was there, but I think the chief was there. It might have been Reynolds. I'm not sure.
We've been talking about this for a little while.
Yeah, at planning board.
At a planning board, yeah.
Yeah, let me get the details, Jason, and send them on to you, whatever I can find.
Just so I can get it to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And letting Jack know the process for when we do a payroll warrant, when it's not
Oh, yes.
a regular selectmen's meeting.
We have a policy that allows the board of selectmen, because payroll is every 2 weeks, and it falls out of cycle with the selectmen's meeting, so typically you call Velma, and she's in town, she'll come in and she'll sign off.
Sign,
We
okay.
have the authorization for one selectman to sign the warrant, but it doesn't fall on a regular schedule.
Yeah, so normally, Lisa does payroll.
Yep.
Todd goes over it, double checks everything, he signs off on it. A lot of times I'll spot check, I'll pull a time card and just double check with what's on there, and then sign off. But if I'm not available, any of the selectmen that are in the
I
area
can
can
usually break
sign.
free, and I've done it
Yeah.
before, I break free and come in for a little bit.
Yeah, or Phil.
That's for when it's out of sync with selectmen's meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
for payroll, yeah, just for
Just for
payroll.
Yeah, accounts payable will always be at a selectmen's meeting, but payroll falls out of
Well, you
sync.
gotta pay the payroll.
I think it comes back in sync in April, I think it is. February, March are the same, so yeah, April.
Jack, do you have any comments, concerns? No, Will Commissioner.
No, no.
It's already signed.
I want to in the worst way, but I'm not worried, I promise. No, it's been interesting, thank you. Thank you for letting me be here, and I'm glad I had a chance to listen to what the attorney had to say, because that was a nice little opportunity to catch up on that too. You know, Todd and I will talk. I guess you know, I talked to Todd, I said so, and what's reassuring to me is Todd's willingness to, you know, be there if I need him. And I don't know how else to put it. I mean, and boy, that's worth $1 million, as you know, if you can, you know, have somebody a phone call away. And so that will be, that'll be very helpful.
We certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, no, Jack more than welcome. I gave him my personal cell phone
Yeah.
number. I told him if I can't get it right away, I'll call you right back.
I know your hands will be pretty busy over there.
Yeah, but I'll make time to help Jack out too, so, not a problem.
And I know that Sim and the girls in the office will do the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're very fortunate that, we're very fortunate that we have an excellent, excellent office crew.
Yeah.
All cross-trained and well-trained.
I kind of knew that.
That's why he took the job.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Tom alone, you know, they taught me, right.
Yeah, it's funny, every year I have one friend who lives in Kennebunk who always comes to Arundel to register his vote because he loves the girls at the town office, and he always sends me an email, made my annual trip to the town office today, and you were so lucky to have such an excellent crew.
We'll do the best we can.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll go slowly so that we can not go, you know, not make too many mistakes, hopefully.
Okay, so with that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, doesn't that say other business first?
Yeah,
I did
Oh, you
ask.
just checked, oh, you did.
yeah.
Oh,
That's,
Town hall will be closed tomorrow? And
Did
general
you get authorization from the board
I
for
know, I
that?
do it once a year.
yeah.
Or maybe once every 3 years. And we did get our,
GA money.
no, our audit, GA audit passed with flying colors. We're doing what we're supposed to do according to the general assistance statutes, the Department of Health.
That's not easy anymore, do what you're supposed to do on the
GA
GA, I'll tell you that.
Because you don't know what you're
Seriously.
supposed to do, so.
Whoa.
But yeah, so that audit came back complete, and you can now entertain that motion, Selectmen, new boys.
So move.
8:15, have a second? Second. All those in favor?
All right, this is,
Who made the second on the payables warrant?
Sound like you got
Was it
What's-
payables warrant, or was
It's
it?
either Phil or Tom.
Okay.
On second?
On the payables?
I did, I was second.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You want that, or I can email it to
You can
you.
email it to me if you want to keep your original.
Oh, did they do the
Or
gym?
I can just print it out.
This weekend, with the new brackets or something?
They're putting gusset plates up on those,
come
and
in.
anything over 4 inches of snow, they're shoveling the roof off. Haven't seen an actual engineering report yet on it. There's some concerns that we need to know about. Haven't had the building evacuated yet, but I was told that gusset plates are going up on in the peaks of the roof, so.
They did those already on Sunday?
I believe they did, yeah. I haven't been in there to check, but I think that said they were doing them this weekend. And they're gonna, the gym here at the school, they are going to shovel the roof with, if we get any more than 4 inches, so not letting
We'll be
it.
busy tomorrow, huh?
If we have to shovel it, like what, 6 months?
6,000.
Yeah, that's not the expensive part, this was that.
Sideboard first.
Yeah.
We're close to what we
Let's go, Jack.
Oh,
crap.
Oh,
Oh, that's on
No,
So-
no, problem.